one of the things I wanted to talk to both of you about is do you have any advice for how sponsors can accelerate development in pediatric patients for genetic diseases that affect both children and adults, but where, say, for instance, the gene therapy holds the greatest promise to address unmet need in pediatric patients?
Yeah, I love this question. I think that gene therapy is a place where, as this question is alluding to, where often the most promise is before you've had the disease for your entire life and into adulthood, and where you've had some manifestations that have increased your morbidity and potentially have increased organ damage and otherwise. And so it really is prudent to try and get these gene therapies to patients earlier on in their life. And so I do think that this is something where in this space we are very open to accelerating development in the pediatric space. What I will say also, it's tricky, right? I think that we have to make sure that things are safe and that we have enough in the preclinical setting um, to to give us some assurance that we are ready to give things to pediatric patients. But we are certainly willing to and are doing this in this setting. I do think it's also a challenge on the flip side. What we've heard is that we have sponsors that are developing gene therapies in pediatrics, but the adults are saying, well, we could benefit from this too,
Hmm.
even though we've had this disease for a long time and we do
Hmm.
have some organ damage and otherwise. This is something where it might help us to sort of maintain status quo instead of continuing to have some decline. And so I think it really is, depending on the disease, it's a balance, but we certainly are open to studying things in pediatric patients and are doing that in a robust way.
Yeah, I just add that this is it is actually it is remarkably complicated because in some
Mhm.
cases it may turn out that treating the younger children is really going to be the golden space. I mean, if we
Right.
look at what has happened with anasemnogene or Zolgensma, it looks like treating they're treating under 6 months gives these remarkably nice results. On the other hand, it's possible that in other conditions, such as Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, as we treat older individuals, we may have to be a little bit cautious because these therapies themselves, when you administer a gene therapy, for example, are associated with the need to give additional steroids and are potentially associated with an inflammatory response. That might have its own set of side effects in this older population that might be different than a younger pediatric population. So it's not
Mhm.
always simple to know. Going from older to younger or younger to older, there may be challenges going in both directions. So
Right.
um, it's not completely simple.
Yeah, and what I hear from your question is in the setting of a gene therapy, where potentially the agency has asked if you for you to study it in an adult before you go to a pediatric patient. That's what
Hmm.
I'm hearing from
Hmm.
some of what you're saying, and I say that I think that it really just depends again on the disease. We've outlined some things here where it really can be tricky, but we are certainly open to studying things in pediatric patients uh, first if it applies.